Hi everyone, Sean back from the Sci-Fi Model Guy, and welcome to Chapter 2 of the NX-1017 build, or at least that's what we're calling it for right now. And in this video, we're going to be doing some cool stuff, but before we get to that, folks, I want to let you all know that tonight, February 16th, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, we're going to have Episode 4 of the Sci-Fi Workshop, the little live stream thing that we're doing with other creators. And tonight, we're going to be featuring Mark D with a C. Now, Mark is an avid Star Trek fan, science fiction fan, loves comics and stuff like that, and he's going to tell us about the cool 3D printing that he's gotten into. So I've got a lot of questions about that, maybe you too, or if you're interested in the 3D printing, we'll see Mark show off some of the stuff he's done, including a custom-made Doomsday machine. So I'm really excited to see that and hear all about that. So that's tonight. February 16th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. So please come on in and enjoy the chat. And if you have any questions for Mark, let him know. Can't wait to talk to him. Okay, so now for the video here, we're going to be doing the smoothing of the panel lines on the secondary hull. Mind you, I didn't look at anything. I kind of winged it on this one, used some ideas like with the baking soda and CA glue technique to kind of fill the gaps, and it's working out pretty well. I am having some issues with the saucer section, so I'm going to show you guys that right now. Right here, this is the saucer section. I've got the Bondo spot putty on here. I've tried a couple of times to layer the CA glue and baking soda on this, and the panel lines still remained even after sanding. So I think it might have been because I was sanding it with too much of a rough paper and it was just chipping away everything that I had done. I think that's probably what it was. So I need to use a lighter grit, I think, and take more time to do it, like I did with the secondary hull. Now the secondary hull in this video we're going to talk about, and you'll see the results of that in this video. I used a little bit lighter of a grit, and I think that's probably the key. So I think I got a little bit too impatient with the saucer section, and I covered it a couple times. It did cut down on the panel lines, but it didn't eliminate them. So I've gone with a couple layers of filler primer, and now I've got the Bondo spot putty, and I'm going to sand this down and see how that looks. But that's going to be all in Chapter 3. We'll find out how that works. Now, I will say we will get it done, folks. This is going to be really cool. I'm really happy with the way this thing looks. You can see here we've smoothed it all out due to a little mistake that you'll learn about in the video here. I had to kind of cover the little ribbed lines there because some glue got in there, but actually I think it's turning out for the better. It's a lot sleeker look, so you can see that there. Really can't wait to do that, and then we'll keep moving on with the model. Now, for the Enterprise Dual build, that is coming. I've started painting them. It's just taking a little bit longer to do all the painting and the coats and everything. There's really not much to show with that. So I've got a lot of work to do. So I wanted to keep getting these videos out to you guys. So to Mike and Carla out there, don't worry. I'm continuing to work on the kits, and then we're going to have another video on that on the bases that we've built. So we've got that all planned out. Anyway, everyone, if you're seeing this and you have some pictures you want to show off on tonight's stream, send them over to me. It's the Sci-Fi Model Guy at gmail.com right there, and I will do my best to feature some of your work. Hopefully we'll have enough to show, and if we have too much, we might have to do it on the next stream, because we only got Mark tonight for a little bit of time before he has to leave. Anyway, I've talked too much. You guys enjoy this little short video here, and we will hopefully see you tonight, 7:30. Take it easy. All right, folks, here we are back in the shop, and we're going to be starting to work on the Constellation B. At least that is the going name for this kit right now. I think I'm going to probably end up sticking with it. Now, this chapter here, we're going to start off with some thoughts I had in the unboxing, or the Chapter 1, discussing what we're going to do to change this kit. One of them I had started talking about and then cut out was removing the panel lines out of this thing. So there are these are basically just grids, just lines all over, emanating from the center of this, and then concentric circles moving out. And I really was thinking about seeing what I could do to smooth this out. Just make it a very smooth saucer, both on top and bottom. The bottom has the same thing. We'll hold it up. I mean, it's just grid line after grid line. I want to see if I can get rid of these in any way. So this is kind of an experiment. So what I'm going to do is employ the baking soda and CA glue technique. So the baking soda can kind of use to fill in and acts as an instant set, as well as kind of making a kind of a styrene-ish or plastic combination of chemicals. I don't know what to call it, but the baking soda is white, obviously, and it will kind of turn the CA glue white as well and harden it extremely quick. So I had thought about doing other materials to fill these lines. One of them was Mod Podge. One of them was just canopy glue, which is this stuff here. Canopy glue dries clear. It's almost like Elmer's school glue. For lack of a better term, that's pretty much what I would call it. It dries clear, and it's pretty nice. If you don't need a really strong bond, but you just need something clear, and it's good uses, but it didn't really fit the needs for this because I need something that is a little harder. The canopy glue is a little bit soft and spongy. So what I decided to try is going to use the old baking soda here. I got a little bowl of the baking soda going here, and I've got some super thin CA glue. So to try it, we're not going to start on the saucer section here because it's really visible, and if this technique doesn't work, then I don't want to mess up the something that people are going to be seeing. So I'm going to start on the neck of the secondary hull. So this is the starboard section of the secondary hull. Forgive the shaking there, sorry about that. And so here we are, the starboard or right side of the hull, and I'm going to try to fill in the panel lines right here at the top of the neck here. Now this, if I mess up or something, this will be probably the best place to do it because the saucer section connects right to here. It goes right on there, and it's a little less visible or prevalent. So if I really mess things up here, this gives me a good chance to kind of get it right. But I'm hoping that this turns out, and if it does turn out, I've left it in the video and you're seeing this. If not, you're not seeing this. So anyway, let's backtrack a little bit here. So we've got our little bowl of baking soda, and right here in my little model making hands, I have some super thin CA glue in one of these handy little bottles with a needle that I've bought from Amazon. Now, I've got a lot of different uses for these things, guys. I've got variations of putty mixed with some water to give kind of a slurry there that you can apply really thin. I've got some liquid mask here that allows you to apply masks through this needle in a very controlled manner. And then I also have some solar res in this one. Now I've taped it over because if I ever have the sun come in here or lights shining down, the UV lights would eventually make this solar res harden. So I've covered it with tape to kind of block the light. So I can apply solar res through this little needle, and it's very controllable. These bags, they come in a bag of a dozen or so, and you get them off Amazon for a very cheap price, and they've proven invaluable. So what I did was I took a bottle of CA glue, which was just this kind of stuff that you get at your hobby shop, but it was a super thin. This is extra thick there, but it was the blue bottle, super thin. And I poured it into this guy. Now, when you order these, the cool thing is it does come with little funnels that you can use to put over what you're pouring into it, and they go right in there, and it's really convenient and nice. So, it looks like I made a funnel-shaped mark on my wood over there. I'm going to have to clean that. Anyway, and I think it came with some labels, so I wrote CA thin. So here it is right here, and it's got this little needle. So I can really get a controlled, or at least as much control as possible through this guy here. Okay, so let's take a crack at this, huh? Let's zoom in, and I will really try to keep this in the shot. So we're going to zoom in right here, right there. So now what I'm going to try to do here is just sprinkle some CA glue on top. And my goal here is just to fill the holes, including the windows, by the way, guys. So I really would like to not only fill the panel lines, but I want to reduce the number of windows in this thing. It was really cool design, and I do understand that the designer's wish was to make this more close to the Enterprise D. But in my opinion, there's just so many windows going on in here and the saucer section. This is more kind of like the Enterprise D, where it's like a you'd expect families, thousands of people on there. So I want to kind of make this a little bit more of a militaristic ship, and as well as seeing as how this is an NX class, or in my mind, in my made-up canon, this is an NX of the Ambassador. It's a prototype, so we wouldn't be needing a lot of windows and stuff. So anyway, that's just kind of my explanation. So I'm going to shake some of this off, give it a quick blow. Okay, so we can see here that the windows are more or less filled in, as well as the panel lines. Now, I don't want to put any panel lines in this little rib cage thing here. That's definitely not something I want. So maybe what I should do before I go any further is to just tape this off. You don't want to get any glue. So we're left there. I'm going to make sure we're still in the shot. Just going to sprinkle a little bit more baking soda. Baking soda is super cheap, so I don't mind a little bit getting here on the towel. Okay. So now the trick is going to be carefully applying the CA glue in these panel lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bottle here, and I'm going to just lay it in there carefully. So what I have to do though, folks, I need to really lean over this thing to see what I'm doing. So I'm not going to film this part, but just to know that I have to get very close so I could see this and be very careful. And you guys don't want to see the back of my head in the shot. So I'm going to pause it right here, and then we'll be right back. And we'll see how it went. All right, guys, so it went pretty well. It went about as good as I expected it to. Now, this stuff here, laying these super thin glue in there, the panels kind of soaked it in. So if you've ever, the closest thing I could think of to compare it to is if you have applied a wash or anything to panel lines. It's kind of like a capillary action where the glue just kind of flowed right into these things, and it turned clear. So when I was applying it, it got rid of the baking soda color. It turned clear. So I haven't put any other Instaset on there. So the baking soda acts as a it sets the glue. Anything that didn't have baking soda should still be a little bit wet here. So I'm just going to wipe this down. Again, this is brand new. I haven't thought of this. I haven't done anything. I haven't seen any techniques. I am learning on the go. And okay, so I can feel I can feel it here. So there's very much a presence of glue on the surface. You can even see that there. So what I'm going to do, we're going to splash this with a little bit of Instaset because some of that stuff may not have dried yet. And this is just to dry that glue as much as we can. Now, let's give this a try. Hopefully don't need this anymore. Might need to apply a second coat of this stuff. Don't know. Again, like we're saying, we have never done this before. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sand this down. And for that, we're just going to use some regular old paper here. Let's get some stuff that's pretty rough. Okay. With this spillage here, you'd think Scarface was around, but he's not. Promise you. All right. So here we go. I've got the Instaset was applied, and we're going to go ahead and just sand this down. I might end up needing a little bit rougher paper. So what I'm going to try to do here, I'm going to go over and use the orbital sander, and I'll be right back. All right, folks, so success, I think. The baking soda and the CA glue through the little dispenser here did prove to be pretty effective. It did take quite a bit of sanding here, so I did have to go over and use the orbital sander with a 180 grit, so it's pretty rough stuff to get this smoothed down, but I pretty much think I've eliminated all of the panel lines and all of the windows, which was kind of my desire. Now, the one kind of drawback, I guess, but we'll turn it into a feature, as Bob Ross would say, a happy accident, is that some glue got into that kind of nice little rib cage or sensor dome thing that we had going on here with these nice rib lines right there, which were kind of a cool feature of the ship. Some glue got in there, and instead of trying to fix it, I just decided to cover it up and make this a solid neck, kind of like you would see in a regular Constitution class. So be that as it may, it's just something that happened, and I made a decision, instead of trying to fix it, let's just fill this all in and make it all smooth, the whole thing smooth. I might come to regret it, or not, I don't know, but it is what it is. It's just this glue here that I was using was a little bit too thin, and it got under the tape, so it did fill that in. So just a word of caution to those of you who might be following along with me or considering doing this. If you do want to keep this little neat texture thing, I don't even know what you'd call it, but it is a cool feature of the ship. I really do like it. If you want to keep that, make sure you mask it a lot better than I did. You want to do really tight masking, and I probably should have done that, but be that as it may, I didn't, and so I'm living with the consequences, and that means we're just going to make this smooth. It's just a smooth neck, and anyway, so I don't want to digress or hang on that too long. So it took a few rounds, just what I did here was, I put some baking soda here, dribbled the glue on there, hit it with the Instaset after that to get any top glue that was not affected by the baking soda, and then went and continued on with the process. Because this is rounded, so if you put some baking soda here, for instance, and you turn it, it's going to fall out. So I kind of had to do it in sections, and then once it was all done, I took it over, and the orbital sander took care of all the smoothness. I ended up with a 180 grit to get rid of the big stuff, and then 320 to knock it down further. And this is going to need a lot more sanding as well, just with some finer grit sandpaper, just to get it really smoothed out. But before I do that, I'm going to do some putty. There are a couple little pit marks in here, and instead of using glue and stuff, I'll just fill them in with some putty, let that dry, sand that out, and then what we'll do is we'll try some filler primer to get this in and see how that all looks, and then we'll go from there. Paint it with this filler primer, which is gray, see if it's smooth, put some light testing on there to see for light spots and all that stuff, and then we'll make some decisions. And then however this turns out, obviously I'm going to have to do the same thing with the other side, the port side. I think it's going to turn out okay, and then after that we'll go ahead and tackle the zoom out here, the saucer section. I want to get rid of all of these lines. I want the smooth saucer on this thing. So that's the plan, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some putty here. Get that, sand it down, smooth it out. I'll probably come back and talk about how that looks, and then I'll hit it with filler primer, and then we'll talk about that some more. So anyway, so far, everyone, so good. This is really turning out to be kind of a cool experience. I'm having fun. I kind of like the fact that I made a mistake here. I'm going to have to live with it, and that's the whole point of this. You kind of want things to go out of plan so that you can recover from it and make something good happen from that thing that you didn't intend. So, all right, putty time, sand, then we'll prime, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like. Stay tuned. Well, a little bit more work was done than I thought. So here we are. It's the next day, and we're looking at the piece that we were, filling up with the glue before, and it is primed with the filler primer. Guys, this turned out a lot nicer than I thought. I'm super happy with this. So, and as you can see here, we've cut in a little window. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a try to put a window here, kind of similar like it is on the Enterprise refit, where they had the big window. It was more down here, I think, in the front of the engineering section. So I decided to put one here on both sides of the ship. So we're going to fill this with, not fill it, but we're going to put like a clear styrene in there, and make it look like there's some depth in there with some lights and stuff going on. So just a little bit of a cool detail there on both sides. Not even sure what it's supposed to be. Maybe an arboretum. I don't know. But we'll try to make it look similar to what we see on the Enterprise refit and the Enterprise A. Just to put it in there. Should be cool. But anyway, guys, this technique of the baking soda and the glue using in the with these little bottles here, that worked out really well. So I did have to do quite a bit of sanding to get it down though, and then after that, after the sanding, I just went through with some perfect plastic putty and just put that all over the ship. I just kind of smeared it in. It was not too thick, but by doing that, I found a bunch of tiny little holes that were left behind, and just a very thin coat of the putty, just going over it with a finger with a glove on, and just getting that in there. It filled all the little holes. Gave that a quick sanding with some very fine grit paper. I think it was 1200. It was like one of these, but it was like a 1200 paper, just to smooth it out, and then hit it with the gray filler primer, and it really turned excuse me, it really turned out well, and super thrilled with it. So then today came out here and decided to put these little windows in. So I did that one here, and I also did that with the other side. So we've got the window cut in there. Now to do that, I just did a couple of techniques. And I apologize for not filming it, but I just used a Dremel tool, this nice thick drill bit right there, just to kind of get it started. But pretty much here, I'll bring it up. You can see here what I did was I just actually made use of the panel lines that are already here, and that allowed me. So I cut right along this one right here. There's a panel line. So that was a guide. I just used an X-Acto knife and just cut a few swaths through there to kind of get that through, and then I used the windows there to do one as straight as possible. It's not perfect, but I'm still kind of digging away at it with the file and stuff. And then just using various things, using an X-Acto knife, some files, some sanding sticks, and you just kind of keep picking at it a little bit at a time, and eventually it will it should anyway get to a point where it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I think we're going to stick with it as it is. Might go through here on this one. It's a little wavy, but you can really overwork this stuff when you're trying to get it too perfect. After all, we are human. We have shaky hands and stuff, and once you cut a line that's wavy, it's really hard to get it kind of perfectly straight, because if you're going in there shaving off one bit, you make it deeper than the other, then you end up making a huge window. So at some point, if you're going to do this, get it to where you're more or less happy with it and just stop. And I think that's what I'm going to do here. These are pretty good. They're not perfect, of course, but if I go any further, I risk making it useless. Anyway. So yeah, so this worked out really well. There is some glue that ended up on the connection points here, so I'm going to have to take care of that, sand these down so that it connects, but that's not too much of a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to fill this out. Anyway, that's that, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing over here using the baking soda and the CA glue, thin CA glue, and then after that it's in there, we'll spray it down with some Instaset and get that done. Just when you're doing this, just do it in small sections, and you should be okay. You should be good to go. All right, guys. So here we go. I'm going to get to work on this, and then we're going to start working on the saucer sections and look at all those panel lines we got to do. That is a lot, everybody. But yeah, probably we are going to end up more than likely going to end up sanding off the lifeboats here. That's okay. You know, we can put them in with pieces of. We can cut new ones. You know, with the we've got styrene, and I can cut squares really easily and just round them off, and we can actually put new lifeboats in there if we want to. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, so that's it. I got a lot of work to do here, and then we'll keep going on this modification. Having a lot of fun building this, guys. So see you soon.